Okay, let's unpack this. You know how sometimes you watch someone manage a group, maybe it's kids in a busy classroom, a particularly tough meeting, or even just trying to coordinate a big family gathering, and they just seem to make it look effortless, like they have this hidden talent or a secret trick up their sleeve.
Absolutely. It feels like some people are just, well, born with that natural ability to understand and navigate human behavior, while the rest of us are just trying to keep chaos at bay.
Right. But the source material for this deep dive, it kind of challenges that idea completely.
Mm.
We're digging into a guide originally designed for teachers called Habits of Highly Effective Teachers.
Mm.
And its focus is incredibly practical: behavior management.
And our mission today is to take this really insightful material, sort of pull it apart and extract the absolute core habits and strategies it highlights. We want to understand why people behave the way they do, what makes them tick, and how you can foster positive behavior and interactions, not just, react to problems.
Yeah, finding those nuggets of knowledge that apply way beyond the traditional classroom.
Yeah,
That's the goal.
exactly.
Leading us through this is the author, Marie. She brings years of experience. Um, Classroom teacher, a trainer, clearly passionate about unleashing student potential, supporting teachers, creating positive environments.
And what's powerful is that this book isn't just her ideas, it's built on the wisdom of hundreds of teachers, plus her own extensive experience.
Mm.
And it hammers home the point that these aren't innate gifts, they are definitely learnable skills.
Which is fantastic news, right? It means these aren't secrets you either have and don't have.
Yeah, they are skills you can actually develop.
So where do we start? The very first big idea, it fundamentally shifts how we think about discipline. Often our default is, well, punishment, detention, yelling, taking things away.
Suspension, yeah. If you look at typical responses to misbehavior, it often focuses on those punitive consequences. But this material argues that true discipline, in its original sense, is about training. It's about teaching appropriate behavior, not just penalizing missteps.
It's guidance.
Guidance, exactly.
And that shift in thinking is grounded in this core concept that underpins really everything in this source. All behavior occurs for a reason. It's not random chaos. It's a form of communication.
Even if it's messy communication,
That's
like
so,
such a critical reframing, it moves you away from just reacting to behavior you don't like and towards actually understanding it. So instead of asking a student why they did something, which honestly they often can't articulate in the moment, or maybe it puts them on the spot.
Yeah, that rarely works.
Right. The material suggests the teacher should be asking themselves, why is this behavior occurring? What is the function it serves for this person? Figuring that out is the first step to planning an effective response.
Makes sense. And the source introduces a widely accepted framework for understanding this why. It's the function of behavior model developed by researchers like Horner and Tsugai. They propose that problem behavior, especially the repetitive stuff, usually serves one of two basic functions. The person is either trying to access something or avoid something.
Access or avoid.
Okay.
And they break down what's being accessed or avoided in three key categories. First, they're sensory seeking or avoiding physical sensations. Things like light levels, noise, touch, needing quiet, heat, cold, even hunger or thirst.
And that's not just for specific diagnoses, right?
Uh,
Everyone has sensory preferences.
Absolutely. While it's particularly relevant for individuals with sensory processing differences, maybe like some folks with ASD, it applies to everyone. Think about fidgeting or needing quiet to concentrate. That's sensory.
Okay, what else?
Then there's attention. Behavior used specifically to gain attention from others, peers, adults, or sometimes even to get away from unwanted attention. And finally, tangible. This refers to accessing or avoiding anything physical you can touch or possess, getting a specific item, a reward, computer time, or maybe avoiding a piece of schoolwork or an unpleasant task.
Okay, so sensory, attention, tangible, access or avoid.
Exactly. And the source gives a powerful case study. A student who constantly refused directions, wandered, swore. To the teacher, it just felt like defiance. It left them feeling confused, helpless.
Yeah, you just feel stuck.
But by looking at the function, maybe the student was avoiding work they found too hard, or maybe they were accessing attention through the disruption.
Yeah.
You can start to see a pattern, and then you can develop a plan instead of just getting stuck in that conflict loop.
Right. Or Sam in year 3, the example given, couldn't sit still, calling out, fights.
Yeah.
Analysis showed the function was accessing attention.
Yeah, so the plan wasn't simply punishment. It was about teaching Sam appropriate, positive ways to gain attention and also minimizing the attention he got for the unwanted behaviors. You're replacing the behavior with something more effective.
It's teaching a skill, like the other example, the student who got really upset waiting for food.
Right. Their behavior wasn't just being difficult. It functioned to access something tangible off the food. Maybe they were genuinely hungry, struggled with waiting.
So the response changes.
Exactly. It shifts from scolding them for being upset to teaching the skill of waiting patiently, and maybe teaching them appropriate ways to signal hunger.
And this is so key for the student avoiding work. Instead of just, consequences for noncompliance, the teacher needs to figure out why.
Is it too hard, too easy, boring, irrelevant? Once you understand the function, avoiding difficulty, avoiding boredom, you can teach an alternative skill, like asking for help, working with a peer. Or maybe the teacher needs to adjust the task itself, make it more achievable or engaging.
There's an image in the source, researchers looking really intently at this challenging situation between two kids.
Yeah, that captures it perfectly. It's about stepping back, observing objectively, analyzing why the behavior is happening before you react, whether you're a teacher, a manager, a parent, anyone.
Which flows perfectly into the next crucial insight.
Yeah.
Our own role, our reactions, they're huge factors, not just about the other person.
Oh, definitely. It's about us and how we respond. This is vividly illustrated by the conflict cycle model from Long and Wood. It shows how a negative experience, say, a student struggling with maths, can lead to negative thoughts. I'm no good at this. I hate maths.
Yeah, that internal script.
Which then fuel negative feelings. Frustration, shame, anger, leading to negative behavior, maybe withdrawal, maybe snapping back, disruption.
Right. And here's where it gets really interesting. If your reaction to that behavior as the teacher or whoever you are in that interaction is also negative,
You're getting defensive, threatening, yelling,
then it locks both people into this escalating conflict cycle. And the source is really clear. In that cycle, you are very unlikely to achieve a positive outcome.
Yeah.
You don't really win.
No, nobody wins there. The alternative is to recognize that cycle and, well, interrupt it. You, in your situation, can use preventative measures based on understanding the other person's perception. Well, build a stronger relationship first. Check in privately. Offer help discreetly. Use a pre-agreed cue, maybe. You're trying to change the underlying experience and perception that's driving the behavior rather than just fighting the behavior itself.
And this connects to that idea of mirror neurons, right? Emotions being contagious.
Exactly. Your stress, your frustration, your anger, it can easily amplify someone else's agitation. But conversely, your calm presence can actually help regulate and de-escalate their emotions. Even just smiling can have a contagious effect, apparently.
It makes sense. So managing your own thoughts becomes critical.
Hugely. Are you thinking unhelpful things like, they're doing this just to annoy me, or they'll never change?
Yeah, those traps.
Or are you adopting more helpful perspectives, like, this is a sign they need support, or my job here is to stay calm and help them learn a different way? Your internal dialogue dramatically impacts your reaction.
And the source mentions simple strategies, things we all know but maybe don't use enough. Deep breaths, counting to 10.
Even briefly stepping away if possible. Just practical ways to regulate your own emotions so you don't get sucked into that negative cycle.
There's that image, the stressed teacher with steam coming out of her ears.
So relatable. It visualizes that internal pressure that needs managing. This section is a strong reminder that self-awareness, emotional regulation, these are foundational habits for effectively managing any interpersonal dynamic, not just in a classroom.
Yeah. And the source also includes some inverse lessons, things not to do, gathered from surveys of teachers.
Right, highlighting characteristics of ineffective teachers. What stood out was things like inconsistency, being impatient, perceived unfairness.
Things that kill trust.
Exactly. They aren't just personality flaws, they actively damage relationships and trust, which, as we'll see, makes fostering positive behavior almost impossible.
Okay, so we've talked about understanding the why behind behavior, managing your own reaction. What does this material say is the absolute bedrock, the foundation everything else is built on?
Relationships. Simple as that.
Yeah.
The source is unequivocal. Relationships are the foundation. Not just teacher-student, but student-student, teacher-parent, even relationships with colleagues.
Why are they so fundamental?
Because strong relationships build safety and belonging. They create an environment where people feel safe enough to take risks, to make mistakes. And making mistakes is crucial for learning and growth, right?
Absolutely. So how do you build them? Especially, say, teacher-student ones.
It starts with surprisingly simple habits. The source emphasizes knowing names quickly. Sounds basic, but it shows you see them as individuals.
That makes a difference.
Showing genuine care, asking about their lives outside of the task at hand, and really listening. The 2 by 10 strategy is a great example they give. Spend just 2 minutes a day for 10 consecutive days.
2 minutes for 10 days.
Yeah, having a casual chat with a student about anything other than schoolwork or the task. It can be transformative for building connection, especially with those individuals you find tricky to connect with.
And following up on those conversations later shows you were actually listening.
Definitely. And it's vital to actively try and build relationships with those tricky individuals. The material gives examples, like the history teacher connecting WWI stats to his students' current ages.
Making it relevant.
Or finding out a student, Tom, loves motorbikes and using that interest to frame maths problems. It makes learning more engaging, sure, but it also shows you value their world.
And respect is key, even when dealing with challenging behavior.
Absolutely. Using a calm tone, separating the behavior from the person. I don't like the behavior, but I value you. That distinction is remembered long after the specific incident.
What about parents or other stakeholders?
Building relationships with parents is presented as equally crucial for teachers, but the principle applies more broadly. Communication is key. The source recommends proactive, positive contact early on. Don't just call when there's a problem.
Good advice for any relationship, really.
And treating parents as experts on their child is wise. They know things you don't. Asking about home life provides essential context.
And when concerns do arise,
Framing them in terms of the child's learning or well-being rather than just listing annoyances, it makes it a shared problem to solve together. The case studies mention the mother and daughter working together on behavior at home, or the plan for the Year 4 student who was always late lovely. They show how collaboration makes interventions much more powerful.
that collaboration piece seems huge.
It is, and the idea of suggesting low-cost or no-cost rewards focused on quality time between parent and child, that's brilliant. It benefits the relationship and reinforces positive behavior at school, shows how interwoven these relationship spheres are.
And colleagues.
Colleagues, too. It contributes to your own well-being and effectiveness. Sharing resources, just spending casual time together in the staff room, it builds a supportive network.
The source also mentions restorative practices. How does that fit in?
It fits perfectly with the relational approach. Restorative practices focus on repairing harm to relationships, fostering empathy when things go wrong. It's contrasted with purely authoritarian styles, rules enforced through fear, or permissive styles, where a lack of clear boundaries leads to chaos.
So it's not about letting things slide.
Not at all. Relational approaches, like those highlighted, have clear boundaries and processes for fixing things, for repairing the relationship when boundaries are crossed. The example given of the male student refusing to sit near a female student because he felt embarrassed, it highlights the need to understand the student's perspective while still addressing the situation respectfully and upholding expectations.
Okay, so relationships are the firm base. What about the actual teaching, the tasks, the structure of the environment itself?
The source draws a really direct line between engaging curriculum, effective teaching, and behavior management. Quite simply, bored or frustrated students are far more likely to be off-task or disruptive.
Makes sense. So relevant curriculum.
Yeah, building on what people already know, offering an appropriate level of challenge, not too hard, not too easy, and connecting to their backgrounds and interests, that keeps people invested.
And engaging teaching.
Variety is key. The source includes a whole list of strategies, discussions, projects, simulations. The point is, mixing it up keeps people's attention. Differentiating learning is also crucial, adjusting the content, the process, or the product to meet individuals where they are, ensuring the challenge is just right.
Prevents frustration.
Exactly. Providing scaffolding and support does too. And giving students autonomy and voice, allowing choice in how, when, or whom they work, that's incredibly motivating.
That connects to those motivation theories, like Daniel Pink's autonomy, mastery, purpose.
Precisely. Autonomy through choice, mastery through appropriate challenge, purpose through relevance. The case study using a learning matrix in a Year 9 English class for the outsiders, giving choice dramatically increased engagement.
What about checking understanding?
Formative assessment, also critical, making learning visible to you and the student, allowing you to adapt teaching on the spot. Experts like Dylan Williams champion simple tools, mini whiteboards, using paddle pop sticks with names, just quick ways to check understanding. It reduces the confusion that often leads to behavior issues.
Because if they're lost.
They check out or act out. The source references researchers like Graham Newthall, finding students spend significant time just pretending to listen.
Wow.
And John Holt noted most students are often bored, confused, or scared. This highlights why active engagement is such a key behavior prevention strategy.
And underpinning all this teaching stuff is growth mindset.
Yes, drawing on Carol Dweck's work and the famous Pygmalion effect research, it's about the power of your expectations. Believing that people can learn and improve and actively looking for how they learn best significantly impacts their effort and achievement. It reduces the frustration that drives negative behavior.
Okay, so engagement is key. What about structure? Routines?
Oh, hugely important. Clear routines and procedures are heavily stressed. They're like the grease that makes things run smoothly. They reduce confusion, save precious time and energy that would otherwise be spent managing low-level stuff.
So how do you establish them?
The process is simple. Decide what routines you need, things like submitting work, transitions between activities, asking for help. Then, teach the procedure explicitly. Don't just assume people know how you want it done. And finally, reinforce it consistently.
Give me an example of a really effective routine mentioned.
The Do Now activity is a prime example. It's a task students start immediately upon entering the room or starting a session. It helps them transition, gets them focused, maximizes instructional time. The source gives lots of examples, quick writing prompts, summarizing yesterday, problem solving.
That sounds useful. What else?
Getting 100% attention before giving instructions, that's presented as a non-negotiable routine. Waiting for everyone, then praising those who are ready, reinforces the expectation.
Because if you start talking while people are still settling,
You teach them they don't really need to listen immediately. It undermines your own process.
using visuals is also mentioned as key.
Yes, huge. Given that, around 65% of people are visual learners? Having visual prompts or written instructions for routines and tasks reduces repeated questions. It promotes independence. The case study showed how visual instructions really helped a student who struggled with just verbal directions.
And nonverbal cues.
Very powerful for subtle reminders. Things like proximity, just moving closer. The look, a gentle tap on the desk, pointing to a visual cue. Eye contact. The story about the deputy principal creating a public spectacle over a student wearing a hat.
Instead of just a quiet cue.
Exactly. Instead of using a quiet, nonverbal cue or a private conversation, they escalated publicly. It just created conflict and undermined trust. It shows how ignoring subtle, consistent routines can backfire.
Okay, so we've covered the foundation of relationships, the power of engaging teaching, clear structure. Now let's talk consistency and reinforcement.
Right. Consistency, defined simply as doing what you say you will do, follow through. It creates predictability. The source uses that great phrase, fair means known. Expectations and consequences are clear ahead of time.
Why is that so important?
It builds credibility. It builds trust. It creates a safe, predictable environment. And consistency doesn't mean treating everyone identically. It means applying your understanding of the situation and your planned response consistently.
So planning ahead is part of it.
Yes. Planning ahead for predictable, difficult behaviors is presented as a key habit. Know how you'll respond before it happens.
And part of consistency is starting fresh.
Crucial aspect. Starting fresh every day. Don't hold grudges. That Nelson Mandela quote is used. Resentment is like drinking poison and then hoping it will kill your enemies. It hurts you. It prevents you from seeing the individual clearly.
So treat misbehavior as a lack of skill.
A lack of skill to be taught, not a personal attack. Restore the relationship afterwards. Check your own beliefs about the person. Use humor sometimes. It can diffuse things and help maintain perspective. Don't take it personally. It's about them, not me.
Okay, now positive reinforcement. The source makes a very strong case for its power.
A huge case. And it's not just for kids. Marie shares her own story about being praised during a boot camp, how motivating that was. Positive reinforcement is simply providing a desirable consequence immediately after a behavior you want to see more of.
And here's that vital, maybe counterintuitive point about attention.
Yes, attention drives behavior, and that includes negative attention. If a student is fighting to get detention because they hate the playground and actually crave that one-on-one time with the teacher in the detention room, well, your detention is reinforcing the fighting.
Wow.
Or the year 7 student with a history of failure who acts out maybe the negative attention is better than revealing he doesn't understand the work. Your reaction, even if negative, might be inadvertently reinforcing the very behavior you want to stop.
That connects to the reticular activating system.
Yeah.
What you focus on, you see more of.
Exactly that. Think about being told to look for red cars and suddenly you see red cars everywhere. It's the same with behavior. If you're only focused on catching people doing the wrong thing, that's what you'll see, that's what you'll react to. But consciously focusing on and reinforcing the positive behaviors, you train your brain to see more of them and you actively increase their frequency.
So what are the key reinforcement habits?
Two big ones highlighted are descriptive feedback and positive prompting. Descriptive feedback isn't just good job, it's specific. I noticed you helped Sam with his work. Thank you, that shows great collaboration.
Tells them exactly what they did right.
And why it matters. Praise effort as well as achievement. The source references research, like Gottman's work, suggesting a need for a high ratio of positive to negative interactions, maybe 5.1 in any relationship, including the classroom.
Is there evidence this works in schools?
Yes, the PBIS Positive Behavioral Interventions and Support School Study is mentioned. Schools that focused on significantly increasing positive reinforcement saw a corresponding decrease in office referrals for inappropriate behavior. Focusing on building the positive actively reduces the negative.
Okay, and positive prompting.
Simple but powerful. Instead of correcting the whole group, you quietly praise the one or two people already doing the right thing, like the kindergarten teacher praising the quietest kids before the concert. Others notice they adjust their behavior to gain similar positive attention, or simply because they see what they're supposed to be doing.
It's that catch more flies with honey idea.
Exactly. You draw people towards the desired behavior instead of just pushing against the unwanted one.
The source also talks about reward systems.
Yeah, detailing various systems, but focusing on low-cost or no-cost options, privileges, games. The secret student game is a fun example. You secretly pick a student, watch for their good behavior, praise them publicly without naming them, and if they meet a goal, reveal who it was, and the whole class gets a small reward. Builds positive peer pressure.
And grandma's rule.
Or the Premack principle. That image of kids eating cake captures it. Make a preferred activity contingent on completing a less preferred one. As soon as you finish your work, you can start that game. It's a classic motivator.
So the main message here is avoid mall whacking.
Haha, yeah. Don't waste energy on constant low-level nagging and correcting of minor issues. You can't extinguish every single tiny unwanted behavior by constantly reacting. Focus your energy on teaching and reinforcing the positive behaviors you want to see flourish.
Which leads us finally to addressing behavior when it needs more than just reinforcement or prompting, when consequences are needed.
Right. And the source reiterates. Threats are often ineffective, especially for students whose behavior is serving a function you haven't addressed yet.
So instead of threats,
Instead, the material advocates for a hierarchy of consequences. A planned, predictable sequence of responses that you escalate through if necessary. It's not about being rigid, but having a clear plan. Maybe start with proximity,
just moving closer.
then a quiet private conversation, perhaps a brief break or cool down time, maybe parent contact, and only then involving higher levels of support if needed.
And how you deliver the consequence matters.
Paramount. Do it calmly, neutrally. Always refer back to the agreed-upon expectations or rules. The example of the principal calmly addressing a student using their phone in the hallway, stating the rule clearly, without getting emotional, shows how you can be firm and consistent while staying calm.
And the consequences themselves should be logical.
Relevant or logical. They should make sense in relation to the behavior, or aim to repair any harm caused. If a student makes a mess,
They clean it up.
right. If an assignment is late,
Lose marks or develop a plan to catch up.
damaged property,
Help repair or replace it.
hurt someone.
Make amends somehow. It connects the action to the outcome.
Exactly. The images used show cleanup, a late assignment,
Yeah.
visually connecting the behavior to the appropriate logical response. The goal isn't purely punitive. It's about helping the person learn from the experience, develop better skills for the future, connecting the consequence back to the learning process.
So we've kind of come full circle here. Understanding the reasons, managing ourselves, relationships, engagement, structure, consistency, reinforcement, logical consequences. And the source brings it all back to the idea that these aren't just concepts, they are habits.
Exactly. And developing the habit of habit building itself is key. It takes time, it takes conscious effort to incorporate these principles into your daily interactions. Whether you're in a classroom, managing a team, navigating family dynamics, it applies everywhere.
And the source gives tips for building habits.
Practical tips. Start small. Stack a new habit onto an existing one. Make it easy to do. Make it rewarding somehow. Use visual cues or reminders. Maybe make a commitment to someone else, a colleague perhaps. Seek feedback. And importantly, expect setbacks.
You will slip up.
Definitely. The key is to learn from it and get back on track. Marie's personal story about trying to embed relationship habits from a book, it reinforces that even someone who knows this stuff finds it takes real work.
So the goal isn't perfection.
No, it's consistent improvement. Every step towards embedding these habits makes a difference.
Okay, so let's try and summarize this deep dive. Effective behavior management, whether it's with kids or adults, it isn't some mysterious gift you're born with.
Not at all. It's a powerful set of learnable habits.
Rooted in understanding why people behave the way they do.
Building strong, positive relationships as the absolute foundation.
Creating environments that are both engaging and structured.
Being consistent and predictable in your responses.
And focusing heavily, really heavily, on positively reinforcing the behaviors you actually want to see thrive.
By internalizing these principles, by working on these habits, you gain incredible insight into human behavior. And these strategies, they apply far beyond teaching. They can lead to more positive interactions, less conflict, greater effectiveness in pretty much any area of your life where you interact with other people.
Which leaves us with this final provocative thought for you to consider. If all behavior is communication, what might the behavior you observe in the people around you, your colleagues, friends, family, not just students, actually be trying to communicate? And remembering that conflict cycle we discussed, how might intentionally shifting your own reaction to that behavior fundamentally change the entire interaction and its outcome?